All right. So verse 27. Verse 27. See, if just again, it'll be good to do a very short recap of this particular chapter. So this chapter is Raja Vidya. So the whole chapter is on how to keep our minds in contemplation, in constant remembrance, in constant thinking of the Supreme. Okay. The essence of this chapter is that Raja Vidya Yoga. And this whole chapter is one of the ways where Bhagavan is saying all that you do, whatever you do, என்ன வேணாலும் குட்டிக்காரன் போடுன்னு சொல்லுவாள்ல, you do whatever somersault, you do up down, hang yourself by a tree, you stand on one leg, you do so many yajna, so many homa, you do so many rituals, all of that you do or don't do, if you don't keep your mind in a certain place, which is in my realm of control. Okay. Right now, where your mind should be, is it in your control or not? That is the question. If you think that I have no control over your mind, then you are justifying to yourself why you should be distressed. You are justifying to yourself why you should be worried. You're justifying to yourself why is it okay to be agitated. You are justifying to yourself that it's okay to be in constant wandering. So the mind, see, we say that, oh, mind is so difficult to manage and control and bring it to one place and keep it in one place where I want it to be. We say that because we are justifying that that's the way of the mind. And we are saying, oh, even the greatest masters have not been, they've said it's not easy to control the mind. And hence, it's not easy for me. Even the greatest of people have not been able to do, so it's not easy for me. So we justify that to ourselves, and hence our mind keeps wandering and wandering, and we allow it to wander, and then life goes in a way. There is this saying, Tamil, there's a saying which I'll translate. It is like, as though a cow keeps releasing dung. See, is there a structure to the way the cow releases dung? மாடு சாணி போடுற மாதிரின்னு சொல்லுவா. What it means is, when a cow is walking, or a cow, I mean, as an example, right? Cow or a horse, even if you see a horse, when it's walking, it'll just keep, when it's wanting to release the dung, it'll just keep releasing it and walking. There is no structure to it. There is no, it'll not say, okay, I have to stand here and do it. Unlike probably a dog or a cat, the way it does it, there is a certain discipline. It will be in a certain place, it'll do its work, and then it'll kind of probably clean itself. Cat actually cleans itself also, and then it comes. But the cow or the horse or a buffalo, they don't do that. They just walk and they keep releasing it. Why is this example used as a comparison? Is to say that if we live life that way, because our thoughts are like that. Our thoughts are, in a way, the release of the dung. right? It is as though the cow releases the dung, right? So we just keep our thoughts, we let our thoughts keep moving, and we let our we either follow the thoughts or whatever, but then there is no structure to it, and we say that's the way it is, and hence we justify ourselves being in different states of uneasiness within the mind. So we tell it is justified to be restless, it is justified to be agitated, it is justified to be um, anxious, it is justified to be fearful. All of this we justify ourselves. Why? Because we tell that that's the way of the mind, which it is. But we also are justifying to ourselves that I have no control over it. I have absolutely no way of managing this thing. So once you've justified, once you've resolved to that within ourselves, that there is no way for me to manage my mind, then we become neurotics. Over time, we become neurotic in the way that we become that it's slowly like this, right? It's like an animal. If there's an animal with you, a pet animal, and we don't manage, see, by control we mean we manage, right? We don't let the animal run anywhere, do anything at any point of time. It will become a social nuisance. A lot of times our minds become a social nuisance, because of which we become a social nuisance, because we let the mind just go whichever way, and we have justified to ourselves it's okay for the mind to keep wandering and keep going around. See, it is said there is a very thin line between sanity and insanity. Okay, sanity means I am sane, I am proper, I am not doing random things. Insanity is when you do things which are you don't intend to do, but you just keep doing because at that moment the thought comes and the mind says something, you do it. So when there is absolutely no management of the mind, and a lot of times you notice you stretch the line of sanity and into insanity, we keep pushing that line. How we push that line? By justifying to ourselves it's okay for me to feel restless, it is okay for, it's not necessarily okay, we are justifying to ourselves saying that yeah, the mind is restless, yeah, the mind is agitated, yeah, the mind is anxious, and we keep pushing that line into insanity. And when we keep pushing that line, then it goes to a point where it becomes really unmanageable. So Rajavidya Yoga, this particular chapter, is about Krishna telling that place your mind where you want it to be. Place it where you want it to be. If you want it to be in the realm of the gods, goddesses, which is we discussed, if you want to keep thinking about the different kinds of deities because you're going to get something from them, you will reside there. If you want to keep your mind in the Pitrus, the mind in the different celestial beings, you will reside there. If you want to keep your mind into different transactions of the world, your mind will be there and you will reside there. Where your mind is, that is where you reside. And if you want to keep your mind in me, in Bhagavan, then that is where you'll reside. It is a choice that we make. And he says this choice, it's not an easy choice to make, but that's the only way to be. And which is called Raja Vidya. It is the greatest of all sciences. It is the greatest of all knowledge, understanding. Keep where you want to be, that is where you should keep your mind. You can't say that I want to keep thinking of, I want to be in God, I want to be in the presence of God, I want to be in the presence of the divine, and then the mind is thinking something else. It is contradictory. You cannot say one or expect one and do something else and expect something else. So this whole chapter, you would have noticed, is around explaining where you should keep your mind. And the last one, the 26th, where we closed about a couple of weeks ago, he says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktya upahritam ashnami prayatatmanaha. So he says, whatever you have at that point in time in your as an offering, offer that to me. Don't have to look for the perfect situation, the perfect condition, the perfect time, the perfect environment to think about me, to make an offering to me. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Anything, either you have a patra, which is a leaf, you have a pushpam, you have flower. If you don't have a flower, you have a fruit. Okay, you don't have a fruit, you just have tirtham. Tirtham, you just have water somewhere. Even that water you offer, thinking of me, do that. When you do that with bhakti, with devotion, such a person, when he does that, that person remains in me. Okay, this is what we said in the 26th verse. Now 27th verse, he says, Yat karoshi, yat ashnasi, yat juhoshi, dadasi, yat. Whatever you do, yat tapasyasi, kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you do it as an offering to me. There's a very popular or a very common shloka that we chant. In fact, we chant that at the close of every satsang. The similar shloka. What is that? What shloka is that? Yat karoshi yadashnasi kayena vacha. Correct. Kayena vacha manasendriyerva buddhyatmana va prakrite svabhavat karomi yat sakalam parasmai narayanayeti samarpayami. So everything that I do by my hand, by my words, by my speech, by my thoughts, by my deeds. So action, words, speech, and thoughts. All of that I offer to Narayana. Same thing. Yat karoshi, yat ashnasi. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, yat juhoshi, whatever you offer. Yat dadasi, yat juhoshi, dadasi yat. Whatever you receive as a gift. And whatever austerities you perform, yat tapasyasi, kaunteya, mat arpanam, tat kurushva mat arpanam, which means you do all that in the intention or in the attitude of offering it to me. And when we do it that way, what are we doing? We are practicing the remembrance of God. The more you think about something, the more the mind thinks about it. That is a very interesting thing. Okay. The more you think about something, the more the mind will think about it, which means the mind, think of the mind as a land which has no path. Okay. And you have the ability to create a path. See, when you go into the woods or the jungle, you will notice that some places there'll be suddenly a clearing. And which means people would have walked on that repeatedly. So no plants grow in that path, and there'll be a clearing and you can walk through that path. That track gets created how? By repeatedly walking in that direction or walking in that particular path. You keep walking repeatedly, you create a path. In the same way, in the mind, you keep repeatedly thinking about something, you create a path. You create a path, you create a track. And when you are not actively thinking, the mind will follow the track. That is what I meant by saying, You think about something, later the mind will think about it, which means you force yourself to constantly, I want to think about, say, Narayana or Krishna or Devi, or I want to think about, we spoke about it last time. For example, those are artists. They think about the art. They keep thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it. And then the mind creates a track. When you are not consciously thinking, when the mind automatically generates thoughts, it generates in that path, in that track. So this is what we are training our mind. The whole idea is about the mind training. Rajavidya, this 9th chapter, is about training your mind to create these tracks, so that we create so many of these tracks where you want to reside. Understand this. You have to decide where you want to reside. Not in your house physically, but in your mind. Because if you notice, wherever you reside physically, 80% of the time you reside in your mind. Right? Or 80% of the time you reside in your minds. It doesn't matter. A lot of times you have to kind of look at the environment around to see where am I actually. Right? You have to kind of look around and say, oh, okay, right now. And in fact, I experience that a lot because I keep traveling a lot. So somebody who travels, you realize just for a moment you have to, oh, okay, I'm in Dubai. Oh, okay, no, I'm in Coimbatore. Oh, no, I'm in Bombay. I'm this country. Because a lot of times when we spend in our minds. And where do you want to be in your mind is something that we have to decide. Right? If in my mind, I want to be in this space, which means even when I am not thinking, the mind is thinking about it, which means I'm trying to say, even though I am not actively, consciously thinking about something and I'm lazing, the mind is still processing that. The rumination, the process of rumination that an animal does, like a cow, eats, consumes, and then it ruminates. They say, right, the cow has 4 stomachs, and then it eats, consumes, moves things into the 4th stomach, and then from the 4th stomach it that brings it to the 3rd and 2nd and the 1st, and then ruminates. Now, what will you ruminate on? What you consumed. You'll always ruminate upon what you've consumed. Right? Now, what you consume is your choice. What you want to consume is your choice. And which is why I said it is, although it is easy to justify, to say that, oh, the mind is like this is my mind, I am not able to manage it, my mind thinks this, my mind is agitated, it is, I justify my state of being. If I justify my mind, then the mind thinks it's doing the right thing. Whether we get angry or stressed or distressed or this thing, let's not justify saying that is the right thing. The moment we justify, then you're telling the mind that that's the right place to be. And you're training the mind to be in that. Let us not justify. If we get angry, we got angry. We got angry. And we look at it and we say, okay, maybe there is a way I could have dealt with it. But I am not justifying that it was the right thing to do. Because it is not a safe place for me to be. I am pushing the line of sanity. Whenever I get angry or I get agitated or stressed or anxious, I'm pushing the line of sanity. And it's not at all justifiable to push the line of sanity into insanity and then say, yeah, it is justified. Because at one point, you would have pushed it so much that you will not know how to come back. You wouldn't know how to come back. You will go to these asylums, mental asylums, etc. You will see people, they feel completely justified in the way they are. But you can't have an engagement with them. Because they've pushed the line so much so that they don't know what it means to come back into this, and they've figured out their own space or own imagination elsewhere, that they are unable to come back to this state of engagement or transaction. So they've created a whole parallel multiverse, universe of their own. And what happens in that case? Is it a wrong thing to be in that state? Yes, because you are not able to consciously manage now. Right? You've said it's like a rubber band. The key, you keep pulling the rubber band throughout your life, and then suddenly it becomes so loose and it loses its ability to be in a certain shape or form. There's a beauty of the rubber band because it has it retains its, how much ever you pull it, it can come back and retain its shape. And there is utility in pulling it and stretching it. There's utility. But that's it. If you keep doing that too much, then it will completely lose its shape and form and its utility also. So he's saying, Yat karoshi yadashnasi yad juhoshi dadasi yad tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushasva tat kurushva madarpanam. Do whatever you're doing and offer it to me, O Arjuna. And in the last session, I had mentioned there is a beautiful equivalent Saundarya Lahari verse that I remembered when we do this particular this thing. It is the 27th verse of Saundarya Lahari. Japo jalpaha shilpam sakalam api mudra virachana gatif pradakshinya kramanam ashanadyahuti vidhi pranama samveshah sukham akhilam atmarpanadrisha sapariya pariyayastava bhavatu yanme vilasitam. It's a very beautiful verse, Saundarya Lahari. It means, now look at Adi Shankara's state of mind. He is saying, Japo jalpaha shilpam sakalamapi mudra virachana. He is saying, O mother, Japo jalpaha. Jalpaha means blabbering. Valarudunu solluvoம்ல தமிழ்ல. Jalpaha means to blabber, say things without any substance. He is saying, Japo jalpaha means you make my jalpa as your japa. O mother, you make it. Jalpaha, japa. You make it japa. Shilpam sakalam api mudra virachana. May movements, all the movements of my hand, you make it as a mudra in your service. Mudra virachana. Think that I am doing the Anjali mudra, I am doing the Yoni mudra, I am doing the offering mudra, I am doing the Deepa mudra, all of that. You assume that I am doing these mudras in your offering. Which ones? All the movements of my hands. I am doing it unconsciously. But you take it as though I am doing mudras in your offering. Then Gatif Pradakshinya Kramanam. Kramanam. What it means is, may you take my gati, the walking that I do, as Pradakshinya, your Pradakshina. You take it as your Pradakshina. I am just walking. You take it as though I am doing your Pradakshina. Ashana adi ahuti vidhi. Whatever I am eating, you take it as your ahuti. I am just eating, but you consider it as your ahuti, O mother. Then pranama samveshaha. I am doing lying down. You take it as your pranama. I am lying down. You take it as though I am doing sashtanga to you. Sashtanga namaskaram to you. Then sukham akhilam atmar panadrisha. All my enjoyments, you consider it as my offering to you. Sapariya pariyayastava bhavatu yanme vilasitam. May all my actions be as though it is a worship to you, O mother. So look at Adi Shankara's state of mind. He is saying, somebody like Adi Shankara, he is saying, see, this kind of a mental attitude can only come from somebody who is constantly in the thought of Bhagavan, in the thought of the Supreme. Saying, oh mother, because for them, even a moment of missing it, they feel bad. Ayyo, marandu petene. Ayyo, I forgot to think about Bhagavan. I was doing something else, like Narada's story, carrying the oil on his head. For that time, Narada didn't think about Bhagavan. All other times he is doing Om Namo Narayana. But that time he was carrying the oil pot on his head, he couldn't think. So then he'll say, Ayo Bhagavan, I forgot to think about you. So there are moments where even such Mahan, they have a little slip. Somebody asked Swami Shivananda, why do you get up early morning 4 o'clock every day and do your japa? There are two reasons he gives. One reason is that, of course, only if I do, I can tell people to do, right? So I have to be I have to be the forebearer of my message. If I am giving a message, I'm giving an instruction, I need to make sure I follow it myself in the first place. So that's one reason. Second reason, he says the mind is so tricky that if you're not alert and keep it there, you don't hold it there, it's very easy for the mind to slip. Who we're talking about, Swami Shivananda, who has created hordes of masters, great enlightened beings, spiritual masters. That Swami Shivananda is telling, the mind is so tricky, be very careful. So what's happening here is Adi Shankara is saying, oh Bhagavan, oh Mother, I intend to think about you all the time. Whatever I'm doing, I intend to think about you all the time. But if I miss, you take that particular action where I miss thinking about you as that particular worship towards you. Suppose I got up from here and I started walking and I forgot to think about you. Oh Mother, take that as your pradakshina. If I started talking to somebody and I didn't think about you, oh Mother, I didn't have you in my consciousness, you take those words as your japa. Right? So this is not a shloka of relaxation. It doesn't mean that I'll do whatever I do, oh Mother, you take it that way, right? It is not a shloka to go, oh apadi. now I can go and relax, right? Now I told you, Mother, you please take everything as whatever I do as your worship. That is not going to cleanse you. The processes of our cleansing, the process needs to be in a way that it cleanses me. It purifies me. Chitta Shuddhi. My Chitta Shuddhi occurs is important. It is not about offering to Bhagavan or Devi or anybody. It is not at all about that. They are not waiting for that, honestly. Of course, in the Bhakti Parampara, it will be shown as the Bhagavan is waiting for and yearning for the devotees' love and devotion and all of that. But he doesn't care really. That is a way to show that, it's not some abstract thing that Bhagavan has so much love and he's waiting for you, and then you go and he'll receive you. It's to show that relationship of love. But doesn't mean that you can do whatever you do and still expect that kind of reciprocation from Bhagavan. No. Because clearly it is not a person reciprocating to you. It is you yourself. It is you are the Bhagavan. See, it's as simple as that. See, a Raja, for example, a king of a kingdom, has to do things so that his kingdom is secure, safe, prosperous, flourishing, etc. Right? Now, the king can't say, I am going to sit back, relax because I am the king, and I still expect all of these things to happen. He has to work for it. He has to set the right governance. He has to give the right mission, the vision, the strategy, the ideas, the execution tools. He has to give all of that. And who's it going to benefit? It is going to benefit him only. It is not, there is no third person or there is no another being, God, who's going to come and give him all that. It is his efforts, his intention, his prayatna, his sankalpa that is going to feed back to him. So in the same way, when Adi Shankara is saying that, it means that, oh Bhagavan, oh Mother, may I always think about you. See, the way we have to read this shloka, Japo Jalpa Shilpam Sakalamapi Mudra Virachana, means whenever I do Jalpaha, whenever I talk, you make me think about your Japa. Whenever I do any action, you make me think about the mudras of worship that I do for you. Whenever I walk, you make me remember that I am doing your pradakshina. Whenever I'm lying down, make me remember that I'm doing sashtanga to you. Whenever I'm enjoying something, make me remember that it is in surrendering to you. Whenever I'm consuming something, make me remember that I am doing an offering to you. So it is all about make me remember, make me remember, make me remember. This is the prayer. Yes, Jyotsna, Gayatri. Gayatri or Jyotsna.
இல்ல நான் தான் அன்மியூட் பண்ண முடியல. அப்போ கர்ம யோகத்துல சொல்றா போல நம்ம வேலையும் செஞ்சுட்டு இருக்கணும். ஆனா அதனுடைய ஃப்ரூட்ஸ் அதனுடைய இது எல்லாமே இட் இஸ் ஆல் அப் டு யூங்கிறத சொல்றதுதான் ராஜ வித்யாவா?
Karma yoga is about offering everything that you do to Bhagavan, to the Supreme, and also not hankering behind the fruits. Raja Vidya is where do you keep your mind during the Karma yoga? See, all these chapters that are there, this is only one chapter enforces what is said in the earlier chapter, and it enforces because we need to be repeatedly told about something in different ways so that you get the idea. Otherwise, if Bhagavan says karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, if that one verse is done, you can just, okay, done, I understood Bhagavan, now let me go to fight. Idukapra chumma bore adikadinga. And I'm done with the second chapter, fourth chapter, wherever he says that. Is there after that? You so many chapters, I don't want to listen to all that. Let us get to the work. I understood what you're trying to say. Obviously, that is the case. But then Bhagavan, it's going on because he is having different questions. He's looking at it from different perspectives. He's saying, then, how do I do this? How do I do karma yoga? How do I do karma yoga? You've said that karmanyavadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala hetur bhuhu ma te sangosto akarmani. Do not attach yourself to inaction. Do not attach yourself to the fruits of action. At the same time, don't attach yourself to inaction. So you have to do, but do it without any attachment. Just do it. Now, how he's saying here, do it by offering. Do it in a way that you're offering it to me. Think about me. Think about the divine. Think about the Supreme. Keep your mind in that. If you keep your mind in that, then this action becomes a purifying action. Right? The action, when you keep thinking, in Rajavidya, he's saying, whatever you think when you're doing the karma, then it becomes karma yoga. Karma, to become karma yoga, you think about the Supreme or Bhagavan. Because the mind will definitely think, and when you're doing the action, it will think of the fruit. And you need to think. Yeah, sorry, man.
Sorry, அவ குறுக்க பேசினதுனால இங்க ஓவர்லாப் ஆயிருக்கும்.
No problem. So you follow that. So you do karma, and if karma has to become karma yoga, you have to keep your mind in a certain place. Obviously, you have to think about the fruit of action. Otherwise, it doesn't motivate you to do any action. The motivation comes from the fruit.
True.
If you pick up, like the Olympics is going on now. If you pick up archery, for example, you pick up the arrow, you take the bow and the arrow, and then you've got the fruit. What's the fruit? You've got to hit the target. That's the fruit. Your motivation is, yes, I want to hit the arrow there on the target. But then, if by not hitting it, what happens to you is the difference between karma and karma yoga. Karma is the action of pulling it and leaving it so that it hits the target. And you put your full attention, full focus, all your energy, all the practice that you've done for so many years. You put all of that and then you hit the target. You try to hit the target, but there are so many other factors that can go wrong. Right? Suddenly a small mosquito comes and bites you at that moment somewhere. Or who knows, your nerve twitches from inside. Never know what can happen, right? All your intention you put there, something. And then you're like, oh my God, this happened. And it's all right. But that's where, see, you look at this sportsman, they call it as sportsman spirit, right? This is the sportsman spirit. They'll say, okay, doesn't matter, next one. They'll say, oh, you just missed it. They'll go to that for a moment, but then they'll come out of it. They'll say, okay, next. It's an extremely important spirit. Now, of course, there it's not that they're thinking about Bhagavan and all of that. Not necessarily, right? But if you're living life this way, every action that we do, you try to do and they're like, oh, this didn't work. That's okay. Let me get on the next one. And in the process, so now this allows you to have that sportsman spirit, which means you're always a fighter, never giving up. You're doing next. You're doing that. That's a great spirit to have. But not everybody's mind can be in that state of heightened state of achievement. Right? It requires tremendous energy to do that.
வடிவேல் அடி வாங்கின அப்புறமும் சட்டையை மாத்தின்னு வந்துருவான்.
Correct. So not everybody can be in that heightened state of that it's actually, in a way, it is a rajasic mode, right? You want to achieve the next one. Okay, I don't want to give up, let me go for the next one. But that's important, but we are mixing that, or kind of it within ourselves, we're collaborating that about thinking about Bhagavan, thinking about Narayana, thinking about Krishna, thinking about Devi. How are we bringing that into the play, into the mix? We are saying that I'm doing my best, but I'm offering it to God. I'm offering it to my Ishta. I'm offering it to Devi. What's happening there? There is purification of the mind that happens. Purification of the heart that happens. Having a sportsman spirit doesn't necessarily purify you. It keeps you in the mode of achieving. But if you slightly modify that, you carry that spirit, but slightly modify that to say that I want to offer it. Suppose the same sportsman wants to hit the arrow on the mark, and says like, Bhagavan, this is my best, I am doing my best and I'm offering it, right? Like I think Manu Bhakar, she won the bronze in Olympics, right? She actually quoted this Karmanyam Adhikaraste. That's what I heard. And if you are able to do that with that mentality, be it sports or be it whatever in your lifetime, then what it does is it cleanses you from inside. Because you are, for the next action, you are ready. For the next thing that you've got to do in life, you're ready. You're not going into a state of distress. You're not going into a state of depression. You're not going to a state of haughtiness. Both ways. Oh, I have got silver, gold, bronze. No, it also pushes you to a state of haughtiness. Basically, anything that makes your mind either go think great of yourself or think low of yourself, it doesn't purify you. Thinking great of myself is good in the way to think that, yes, I am a great bhakt. To think about oneself as complete is different than thinking of oneself as better than the other. Understand the difference? Thinking of oneself as I am complete, hence I am great. When you do that, compassion will set in. Okay, this is something that we have to watch very carefully. When you think of yourself that I am great because I'm complete, I don't need anything else to complete me at all levels, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. I feel Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. I feel complete. Then naturally there'll be a sense of compassion that will be there. But if I feel myself as great over others, when I feel myself as great over others, then that does not purify me. It only causes more ego, haughtiness. So whether I think about myself as great because I'm better than the others, that causes haughtiness, or I go depressed, I go low, that causes depression. Both of these cases, your mind and heart is not going to be cleansed or purified. Our aim is may it get purified and cleansed. Why? Because we are creating that track. The track that I said at the start, the mind, you need to create that track. And this creation of this track is your duty. It is your responsibility to create that track. So whether you're standing and doing a presentation in your work, or you're lying down in your bed, or you're standing, you're doing something for your household, for your mother-in-law, for your child, or for your mother or parents, or you are going and, in this case, Arjuna's case, going and fighting a battle, or you're standing in a competition and trying to win something, wherever you are, if this track we create constantly, if we create this track where I want to reside, it will not matter where you are. You will go into that track. You will go and reside in that track within you, where you invoke Bhagavan. Even if you don't want, you would have trained yourself so much that the mind will automatically think about Bhagavan. It will automatically think of Devi. It will automatically invoke the Supreme within you. Right? So, this particular verse, Yat karoshi yadashnasi yad juhoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Do it as though you are offering it to me, O Kaunteya. The next one, just 2 minutes, we'll probably look at the next one and then we'll close today. It is in continuation of the previous one. He says, Shubha Shubha Phalairevam Mokshase Karma Bandhanaihi Sanyasa Yoga Yuktatma Vimukto Mam Upaishyasi. He's saying, dedicate all that you're doing to me. Everything that you're doing, having your mind attached in me, Yuktatma. Shubha Ashubha Phalaihi. Offer all the good and the bad results to me. You shall be freed. Thus you will be freed. Mokshase karma bandhanaihi. From the bondage of karma, you shall be released. Sannyasa yoga yuktatma. And you will attain to that renunciation within you. Sannyasa yoga. Vimuktatma. Vimukto yuktatma. Then vimuktaha mam upaishyasi. Thus liberated within you, you will reach me. Which means, going back to that same verse that you mentioned, Jyotsna, Gayatri, karmanyeva adhikaraste. It is the same idea, but here he is giving you the result of that. If you are in this state of karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, what happens? You reach me. Here he is saying, the result of that kind of an attitude, you will reach unto me. Whatever you do, you keep offering to me. And good, bad results. It doesn't mean, see, the important thing to note is that doesn't mean that you have the freedom and you have the freedom to do anything. No. Because karma will always have karma phala. If you do something stupid, you will get stupid results. Right? Which means you have to be responsible for your action. Do your action in a responsible way. We are not saying that you do whatever you do and you expect Bhagavan to always favor you. No. He is not that biased teacher, right? Just because I like you, I'll give you 100 marks. Bhagavan also has to abide by the law of karma. But what we are looking at is Vimukta Karma Bandhanai. Karma Bandha, we are wanting to liberate ourselves from Karma Bandha. So when we wanting to liberate ourselves from Karma Bandha, which means the Karma Phala, which is either Papa or Punya, we don't want to be bound by it. Oh Bhagavan, I don't want to be bound by Papa or Punya. I am not here to accumulate more Punya. I am not here to do less Papa. No, I am not in that game of Papa Punya at all. Whatever I am doing, I'm offering it to you. But responsibly. I am going to act responsibly in this world. To the level, to the intellect, to the way my intellect is saying that these are the right things to do, I am going to operate in that way. In a way, it's harmonious to me and the people around me. Very important. A lot of times people end up taking spirituality or spiritual sadhana as an excuse to be irresponsible in the world. We should not do that. We should not use spirituality or spiritual practices or spiritual sadhana or spiritual following as a way to be irresponsible in the world. No. If anything, it increases a greater sense of responsibility. It must inculcate a greater sense of responsibility for within me and around me. It's very important. We cannot use it as an escape path. I met at Purna Vidyashrama. I had been to Coimbatore. There is an ashrama called Purna Vidyashrama. There is a Mataji there. Her name is, she is fondly called as Ammaji by everybody. Her name is Swamini Pramananda. And I had a long conversation with her and then all of that. And she said, I'm very clear. I don't want people to run away from what they're doing and come to the ashram. I don't want people to just, look at it as an excuse. Oh, Rumba ashram, so beautiful, so nice. Ah, so nice to come and be here. And I don't want them to get swayed by the sudden experience of joy, peace, and calm and all of that, and then leave everything that they're doing and come. No. It doesn't absolve you of your duties, your responsibilities that you're doing. And which is why things like Bhagavad Gita, etc., become far more important, because you have to bring back that consciousness of where it was delivered. Bhagavad Gita was not delivered in the jungle or in the vana. It is not in the aranya. It was not given to. It is not like an Upanishad that way. It is not Guru and a Shishya sitting. Kalangarthalana pongal vadaya saapittu vandu okkandu sollunga Guru. Is not. This is not that kind of a discourse. This discourse is right in the middle of a war. One of the greatest war that has ever happened, right? If you imagine 18 Akshavani Sena on either, both sides put together. That is the kind of scale of the war. You're standing right in the middle of the war and he's giving this discourse. Means being right in the middle of your life that you're living. We figure this out. Of course, you have to go for sadhana. We have to take retreats. You have to go to yatras, retreats, etc. And even if you want to go off there, go off in a very harmonious way. Do that in a way that it doesn't disrupt severely anything. Right? So he says, Shubha Shubha Phalaihi Evam Mokshase Karma Bandhanaihi. I want moksha from karma bandha. Any action that I do. Imagine liberation this way, right? Any action that I do, it doesn't stick on to me. Na lipyate nare. In Ishavasya Upanishad, the second one. Kurvanneveha karmani jijivishe chatagum samaha. Jijivishe chatagum samaha. Forgot the verse. Give me a moment. Kurvanneveha karmani jijivishe chatagum samaha Evam tvai nanyate tosti na karma lipyate nare. So karma does not stick on to you if you live this way. Which way? Do your karma, create those tracks in your mind. Those tracks are most important. We create those tracks. Creation of those tracks is in our hand. This whole Rajavidya yoga, Bhagavan is telling us to create those tracks in our mind so that when we are not conscious, when we are at different external situations that eat into us, the track is still there. And the mind automatically goes onto that track. Right? When you're getting tensed, what do you do today versus what you do after you trained your mind to think about Bhagavan or Devi or Narayana or Krishna or Ambal or Shiva, whatever, just you will notice the difference. Practice this and you will notice the difference. You will see that when you're a state of stress, automatically some japa will come. If you've trained yourself well enough, some japa will come. Suddenly the thought of Devi will come or Bhagavan will come. Krishna, you are there besides me. You be there with me. I'm going through a stressful moment. So this is all very important. You can do this when your mind is sane, when your mind is fit. You can't do this when you've pushed your line of sanity. So when do you have to do it is right now in the battlefield. Do it right now in the battlefield of life, the battlefield that we are in. And then when we are subsumed and consumed by a lot of other things in life, that time this will come to aid automatically. It will keep us above the waves. It will keep us above it will not let us sink. Okay, so we saw verse 27 and 28 today. Om kayena vacha manasendriyerva buddhyatmana va prakrite svabhavat karomi yatyat sakalam parasmai narayanaayeti samarpayami सदाशिवायेति समर्पयामि जगदम्बिकायै इति समर्पयामि सद्गुरुनाथायेति समर्पयामि हरि ओम तत्सद्गुरुभ्यो नमः गुरुदेवा